Welcome. We'll give it a minute while everyone gets on. So happy to have you here, and so glad you could join us. This is Jenny Lynn Hatter, and I'm the Chief Academic Officer for Harrison County Schools, and we are excited to give you an opportunity to ask some questions so you can get some answers regarding healthy at Harrison County Public Schools and seeing our students virtually beginning September the 8th. I have some wonderful folks right here with me. I just removed my mask. You may have seen me do it at the beginning of the video as I am not moving. For your reference, we are in my office and we are 6 feet apart to follow the social distancing guidelines as set forth by our governor. I have tonight our leader, Dr. Harry Burchett, who is our Superintendent of Schools. We have some representatives from our school system with us that you'll get to meet, and we'll bring them in and out regarding the guidelines as we can. And we have the majority of our leadership team watching, so they can answer your questions right here in real time. And want to thank everybody who's pulling their weight and pulling extra time anyway for giving us even more time. And I'll let Dr. Burchett talk to you.
Good evening. As Mrs. Hatter said, I'm Harry Burchett. I'm the superintendent of your Harrison County Public School District, and I'm here tonight with a whole team of educators who, like all of our employees, are dedicated to our current mission to educate, feed, and support all of the school-age children of Harrison County. I know you're anxious to hear about the upcoming activities and the start of our school on September the 8th, but please indulge me just a few moments to first speak about where we have been. As you know, our community was the first in the state to face the coronavirus known as COVID-19. COVID-19 has crippled the world and went on to become the first global pandemic in the last century. Not since the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic have we experienced this potential for devastation to our communities and our way of life. On Friday, March the 6th of 2020, our students and teachers left their schools anticipating a normal weekend and returned to school on the following Monday, March 9th. Unfortunately, we did not get to return, and we haven't been back for in-person school since that time. While we didn't finish the school year the way we wanted to, we did finish under the conditions that we were under to the best of our ability, and we believe we finished strong. Since March the 6th, our community has shown the state how a small community can respond to unprecedented challenges. The way we continued to educate, feed, and support the children of Harrison County was unprecedented. Since that date, our team has served a record of nearly 400,000 meals to the children in Harrison County. And working under very restrictive conditions, Harrison County High School and numerous volunteers provided a graduation experience that has been unmatched by any other school district in Kentucky and quite possibly the nation. Although the experience of our seniors was an individual experience, the culminating project produced a group memento that likely no other school in the country provided their students. And that was a special thanks to the hard work of Mr. Donald Ritchie. Our other schools hosted ice cream socials, drive-through tailgates, teacher car parades, and numerous other activities for our students to help support them during these difficult times. Our mental health and wellness team, alongside our family resource centers, provided social and emotional learning, as well as other family engagement activities like our story walk throughout the summer. I hope your family had the opportunity to take advantage of those activities. Throughout this pandemic, we have demonstrated to our families just how important each of our students are to the people who work here. We also demonstrated how essential public education is to our community, the state, and the world. The mission of the Harrison County Public School District remains to give students the opportunity to receive an education that will enable them to live a dignified and productive life as they compete with other students from all over the world. In order to do this, our district must maintain an environment that is conducive to learning and while taking the abilities and potential of all students into consideration. Since any school system is a reflection of the community itself, the cooperation of the total community is necessary to provide the best education possible. This has never been more important than it is right now and in this time. While we will be starting school virtually this year on September the 8th, there are bound to be hiccups along the way, but your patience and positive attitude will be instrumental to the overall success of the student, whether that be you, the student watching us now, or you or your child. Even while operating under these challenging conditions, it is the intent of the Harrison County Public School District to individually meet the needs of each student in our school district. The COVID-19 pandemic has presented challenges that span across all aspects of our family's daily routines, and it continues to greatly impact us today. Our school district is laser focused on addressing the issues of the pandemic as it relates to school operations and having school, while also ensuring that we meet the highest level of academic needs for the children of our community. Information from our Healthy at School Parent-Guardian Survey shared earlier this summer, along with other district and school level surveys, have been used to help us create the best opportunities and options to meet the needs of all our families during this COVID-19 pandemic. These options do not remove the obligations of Kentucky's compulsory school attendance laws, but do support parents' efforts to meet that requirement while still providing them safeguards through parent choice of the learning mode or model that will protect their families from the spread of COVID-19. In May of this year, we began to plan for a safe and healthy return to school this fall. We created 4 teams divided into health, safety, and wellness, quality teaching and learning, operations and logistics, and exceptional learners. Working with community partners, those teams developed a plan to return to school called Healthy at Harrison, which is posted on our school district's webpage. The plan is a tiered plan with a traffic light model utilizing green, yellow, and red phases. While we will be opening school with virtual instruction under the red phase, as we know it, we are working with public health to determine when we might be able to return to yellow and have some in-person class. Whether that return to in-person is September the 28th, sometime after, or even sometime before, please understand that we want to see the bright smiles of all our students back in our classrooms as soon as possible. In the meantime, it is my sincere hope that the things you will hear about tonight and learn next week at your child's school will give you comfort and help you feel much better about education for your child in the Harrison County Public School District for the 2020-2021 school year. Our team has worked extremely hard and continues to work that way daily to educate, feed, and support the future of Harrison County, your children, and our students. Thank you for your time. There's much more to follow tonight, but I will stick around as long as necessary to help answer any and all questions we have.
Appreciate Dr. Burchett taking his time to get on here and be on the live, and we certainly want you to feel free if a question in your mind pops up. We've got people who are going to make sure we address it. If they can't address it, just right there in the comments. Want everybody to understand that. If you'll notice, Dr. Burchett put his mask on when he's moving. A big misconception that I think people are understanding is that children do not have to stay masked all the time, only when they're moving, and that is in accordance with the safety guidelines when they're not socially distanced. We do model that in all our meetings so we can be healthy for your children as they come in. As I said earlier, we have 6 schools and 6 head principals, and all of them in some form or fashion are listening in so they can hear questions and field them if there's something specific or get back to you. Actually, here in my office, we have Michael Mcintyre. Mr. Mcintyre is the head principal of Harrison County Middle School. I'd like for him to say hi and anything he would like to add to Dr. Burchett's remarks.
Good evening. The first thing I want to say is I am kind of a spokesman of the 6 schools, both north, south, east, west, high school, middle school, and I just want you to know that every single person that's in this building and all of our extended Harrison County Public School staff, we all got into this business for one reason, and that was about students. And I can tell you from this end that there is nothing we want more than to have our students back so that we get to see them and that we can help influence their lives. This is the poker hand we've been given, and we can't switch out the cards, but we're going to do the best thing we can to make sure we do the best available plan that we have to help with our students. So that's what I'd like to start with. I can also give a general, if that's not the time, but I'd like to give a general outline of what the 6 schools are generally doing over the next week time frame. The key for us has always been, from the onset of this, was to try and be consistent. Now, elementary school is dynamically different than middle school, which is dynamically different than the high school. So there are different nuances to all 3 of those levels, but there is still some consistency within all 3. And so what the middle school is doing, and what we are all doing next week, and I know that Northside started that this week, is that we felt it was important for both students and parents that will be forced to be utilizing their home virtual learning, basically the other side of the equation of the teaching and learning spectrum, that we wanted to teach them and get them started so that they did not have that fear that all of us probably have to some degree with regard to something completely new like virtual learning from home. Remember, this is a huge lift, and we've got to try and get this airplane off the ground with a lot of people, a lot of different gears moving to get this machine down the runway and off the ground. So next week, I will speak specifically to the middle school, but I'll also say your best plan is to contact your respective school with regard to what their plan is. But I can assure you it is something along the lines of what I'm about to talk about. So at the middle school, on Tuesday, September 1st, we are bringing in 8th graders. On Wednesday, September 2nd, we are bringing in 7th graders. On Thursday, September 3rd, we are bringing in 6th graders. How are we doing that? Well, if you get my newsletter, the Harrison County Middle School newsletter, contact our school at 234-7123 if you're not on that email newsletter. It has vital information every week. But what we're doing is we are having training sessions for both the child, and if there is a parent or guardian that wishes to come with them, you may come. You will park in our back parking lot. You will enter our back by our cafeteria doors. We ask that you are masked to make sure that we are following our COVID safety protocols, and you will come into our air conditioning in the cafeteria, and we will be socially distanced, and we are going to train both the student and the adult with regard to what to expect from home. Now, what I have right here in my hand, this is a notebook. Kids have it. We all had it if we went through school. It's a 3-ring binder. Every single parent and student that is coming to our school for these training sessions, you will get this product going home with you to have at your home to utilize as a resource in case your education over that training period leaves some things out or we forget. There's a lot of valuable resources in this notebook. It will include your child's schedule. It will include all of your teachers, a little biography about all of your teachers. It will have all of your students' course codes for all of the Google Classroom pathways to get into all of your child's classes. And then there will be tutorials that we're currently getting copied in color so that the picture screens that you will encounter, it will give you specified instructions with regard to logging on. Again, I cannot say enough about this valuable resource. So I encourage every single parent and student to sign up for those training sessions. At the middle school, Each one of those days, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, we will have a training session at 9 a.m., 10:30, 1 p.m., 2:30, 4 o'clock, 5:30, and 7 p.m. So contact the school, 234-7123. When you talk to the secretary, they will get you in contact and we will transfer phones so that we get you booked on your group or your scheduled time. Now, please understand, many parents that get my newsletter have already been contacted. All of our teachers have tried at least to attempt to call all of the students on their team. So if we have not gotten a hold of you, or if you not confirmed a requested time, please contact the school before Tuesday of next week. Again, 8th graders are scheduled for Tuesday, 7th graders are scheduled for Wednesday, and 6th graders are scheduled for Thursday on those training sessions. Again, please wear masks. We're trying to keep this safe. When you come into our building, you'll experience our training session. It should last about an hour, and then we will exit, and you will actually follow. As Dr. Burchett mentioned, we are on the red code right now. Hopefully soon we will at least go to the yellow, which is a hybrid model so we can get students in the building. When you exit our cafeteria, you will actually note, both parent and student, that we already have our halls marked for social distancing and our routing, so that you can actually walk the walk that our kids would walk under that hybrid schedule, where you walk out of our building, so that we don't have exiting groups meeting up with entering groups, so we keep that COVID safety proper. So that's just a summary of what we're doing. Again, I can assure you all elementary schools and the high school are doing some variation of that. Please contact your respective school should you have any questions or want to sign up for those trainings.
Thank you, Mr. McIntyre. We're also glad, and we do have some comments coming in that I see our district literacy coaches, our digital literacy coaches are fielding, and we'll talk about them later if need be, but they are part of the help that we've gotten to make this big lift that both Dr. Burchett and Mr. McIntyre have talked about. There will be, after this live, we will have posted up each school schedule. Now, most of them have blasted that out to you, from everything, as Mr. McIntyre says, in his newsletter to on their school web pages. However, if you haven't gotten it in a way we've gotten it, we're going to put it on the district web page as well. And many of you know a face that's been around this district for a very long time, Mr. Mark Sims, who is what, if you're from here, everybody calls the vocational school. The kids will call it the voc school. It is technically now, if you hear your student mention it, something different. It's called the Area Technology Center. And it's directly across from the high school, and we offer lots and lots of opportunities for our students to pursue career pathways. And Mr. Sims will say a global thing or two, and then just know he's here if you have a question regarding how that instruction will look.
Thank you for that introduction, and I really like that she's highlighting that. We are trying to make sure that that brand gets out there. We are a technical school, and we are usually thought of as hands-on, and so a lot of people are concerned about how this is going to roll out. But don't worry, we're going to be able to provide quality career and technical education just like we have every year. All the things you heard from Mr. McIntyre and from Dr. Burchett are true of the Area Technology Center as well. We're going to have, when we get back in place, we're going to have all of our safety procedures in place. We're going to be ready to roll in a safe way. But until then, we're going to be operating just like everybody else under that virtual setting. My teachers have been working very hard around the clock to get their classrooms ready to go, both in real classrooms and their virtual classrooms. And in the next couple of days, you'll be getting codes pushed to you from each teacher and some directions on how to join those classrooms. And we're really excited to get that started. As a matter of fact, we're in a unique situation in that we serve 4 different counties, and we're actually already underway with Bourbon County. So we've already started our process with teaching, and we're pretty excited. as you've heard from others, you're going to need to be a little bit patient with us as we learn. But that's also true of us. We're going to be really patient with you all. In the beginning, the main concern for us is going to be helping you get started, helping you understand how things work, and we're going to really be there to hold your hand and make sure that things go well. As everybody else has said, we're going to be available with questions. Please reach out to us. We have a Facebook page, Harrison County ATC. We also have every teacher has an email. We also have an ATC help at harrisonkyschools.us now. That's monitored from 7 a.m. till about 9 p.m. weekdays. Again, as soon as possible, we want to get you guys in there and get some dirt under your fingernails and get you, in the technical end, and then get your hand on some computers in the other end or a stethoscope in your ears. And we're going to do that as quickly as we can. But as we start, as I said, we're going to be providing quality career and technical education in a virtual setting. So we're so excited to see those names popping in to our rosters. We know a lot of you. A lot of you we're going to be meeting through this virtual setting, but we just can't wait. And if you need anything at all, remember, we're here, and what we want to do is help you get started. So if you have any questions, send us, and we're there. We're really excited, and we'll see you in a minute.
Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate that, Mr. Sims. If you have gotten mental health information regarding student social emotional learning needs from Donna Sims, Donna and Mark are married to each other. So I know sometimes our parents are like, well, nobody ever told me that, or that sort of thing. So we want to make sure we point that out. Probably 16 years ago, I was working at central office. I was new to my position that I do now. It seems like it was yesterday. And the phone rang, and it was like 9 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. So I answered it. And this gentleman said, I hear that your Air Force instructor is retiring, and I'm in the Air Force, but I'm originally from Cynthiana. And my name is Bill Blackburn. And I go, well, I know exactly who you are. My mother had you at Northside. I've heard about you my whole life. So it's always exciting when one of our own chooses to come home. You may or may not be aware that Chief Blackburn is retired from the Air Force and is a licensed administrator in the state of Kentucky and is our Director of Transportation and does a phenomenal job. And is learning, I think, every inch of the county he never knew, which is not much. He's on because we always know that it's paramount when you send your most precious possession, which is the person you are entrusted to care for, whether it's your child or your grandchild or whatever that situation is, you're sending that little person to us. We do not take that lightly. We know we want to get them there safely, we want to keep them there safely, and we want to feed and teach them, and those are such important things. Chief Blackburn is also, and it's hard to say Mr. Blackburn, old habits die hard, has produced a video today with Mr. Ritchie, I believe, regarding that process, because a lot of people just don't know because we've never done it this way before. And we'll have that up. So a lot of the things we wanted to talk about before we put them up, and we know that things change rapidly. So we want you to have all the information we have when it's to a point that it's useful to you as a caregiver. And again, I know I probably sound like a broken record. We'll have students virtually on September the 8th, as Dr. Burchett mentioned and Mr. Mcintyre mentioned. We hope against all hope, and we want to. There's nobody, believe me, in the people that work in the school system that don't want to see your student as soon as possible. We want that to happen on September the 28th. And that may look a little different, but that's when we hope to see your student in person. So Chief Blackburn's going to talk about that. Bill Blackburn, Key Lad Extraordinaire, Director of Transportation.
Well, thank you, Ms. Hatter. You always give me way too much credit, but I certainly do appreciate
You
it.
deserve
But she
it.
is right. Her mom was my 6th grade teacher. So a lot of what I have accomplished, I contribute to her. I appreciate that. I would like to reiterate what everyone else has said. We want to get you back in school, and we're hoping to do that as soon as possible. And I can assure you that myself, along with every other administrator in Harrison County, or every employee of Harrison County Schools, want to get you here as safely as possible. So I want to just go over a few things about the school bus that I want you to know. As Ms. Hatter said, there will be a video available later. But I also want to offer that if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to call my office, either myself or my staff at the Harrison County Bus Garage Transportation at 234-7113. Again, I want it to be as safe as possible. So here are just a few things I'd like you to remember about the school bus. First of all, about the school bus stop. Some of the guidance we've received and some of the things that I would like you to do are social distance at the bus stop as much as possible and wear your mask at the bus stop. Also, as you board the bus, everyone's temperature will be taken, and we'll make sure that you're as safe as possible to come to school. And as soon as you get on the bus, we're going to give you some hand sanitizer so that we can keep our buses as sanitized as possible. Now, while on our school buses, everyone on the bus, including the driver to the youngest person on there, will be wearing a mask. And I would like to ask you to do that because that's going to help us to keep everyone safe. And we want nothing more than to have every student in our district as safe as we can possibly be. When you get on the bus, we're going to do our best to load the bus from the rear to the front. So when you get on, go toward the back of the bus, and as soon as we have a good, firm idea of how many people are going to be on the bus, we're going to give everyone an assigned seat. Most people from the household will sit together. We will likely have boys on one side and girls on the other, but it is very important that you stay in your assigned seat until the bus reaches your destination, just for the safety of everyone concerned. As I said, you'll have an assigned seat. Stay in your seat until you get there. As we unload the bus, we will, as much as possible, unload the bus from the front of the bus to the rear. Again, that won't be totally possible because we go to different schools, but as much as possible, we will do that. So the biggest things I'd like you to remember are social distance as much as possible at the bus stop. We will social distance on the school buses as much as possible, but please, please, please wear your mask on the school bus for the safety of everybody concerned. Again, I reiterate, we're looking forward to getting you back in school, and we want to get you there safely. So thank you for entrusting your children to us, and please call me if you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Chief. We really, really appreciate it. And looks like we're having some video trouble. Hold on a second. I know our weather has been a little iffy. If you'll bear with us, I don't want to end the video. We'll see what's going on. Okay, well, yeah, still showing live here, but something's wrong in my village, so, you know, maybe that'll make you all laugh, if nothing else, so hope it's a good angle, because I can't see you, but apparently you can see me. Want to thank so much. There's a lot of people that made this happen tonight, and as we take your questions, and we are seeing some themes, we have, as part of COVID-19, if you got to look at the positives if you're leading young people, because you got to get them to see the positives. And one of the things that we've seen as a true positive is our nation, our state, our school system linking arms and doing what's right and the things that move people forward. Tonight, of course, Dr. Burchett giving his time. Mrs. Debbie Kendall's outside making sure our people come in and out seamlessly. Mr. Donald Ritchie, you all know what Donald did with our senior picture. I don't need to say a thing about that. I don't think anything in the state's going on like that. And I am most certainly a fan. Mr. Mcintyre for representing his colleagues, the other 9 of which are all listening in some form or fashion, and I can see them scrolling on the screen. And our digital literacy coaches. They are new in their positions. Mary Heimlich is full-time at our elementary school. She just got on board last week. Miss Sarah Mall, Miss Tiffany Thornsberry, Miss Whitney Criswell, and I have forgotten the other one. I'll think of just in a minute. And they're never going to let me live it down, I'm sure. Mrs. Garnett, Christine Garnett, Mrs. Kyra Garrison, and Mr. Rob McCann are all serving in the high school position, and Mr. Sims for being here to represent our Area Technology Center, Chief Blackburn, Mr. Austin Dacey. If you're friends with Austin on Facebook, you know he has a beautiful little girl, and I couldn't leave those big eyes and that big bow that's in her head that matches every outfit. He is listening, so if you have any food questions, Austin will take them on the live, and he's watching them on real time. I've gotten text with him back and forth, and I think that's, connects us all together. And Jamie Chapman. Jamie's like a daughter. She's the other digital learning coach at the middle school. So we have about 8 people that can link arms with Mr. Richard Harris, who is working his tail off, along with Mr. Tommy Mullins and Miss Leslie McCarty. They all compromise our tech, media, and digital team and work so hard. They've had to bring a lot of people a lot of ways fast, and know that. All our teachers took training this summer to level up in Google. So all your teachers had to learn and go back to being a student as well too. And that is something that I really am proud of all of them for. They've worked their hearts out. They want to do a good job for you. And I think we all have to show each other a lot of grace and a lot of patience as we learn how to swim together again in a new pond. I always say we know how to swim, and use that analogy as teachers. We know how to teach, but we've got to remember bus drivers know how to drive buses. The tech team knows technology, but we're doing it in an environment we've never done it before in. So all those things, just like you are helping your student go back to school in a way you've never done it before. So we're all learning together. And sometimes that's amazing, and sometimes it's frustrating, and we know that. We also will set up a YouTube recording of this. We're going to try to get it to you any way you can. We'll post it up as well. And I see about 10%, looking just real quick at our metrics, of our population is watching this, which is great. And that gives us some way to get to that information. And the next thing we would like to do is, we see a theme, or I'm getting a theme from our digital literacy coaches, that a lot of folks want to know about the Chromebooks. And when are we getting the Chromebooks? And, are we going to get one per household? Are there enough? And while Dr. Burchett mentioned that, we certainly want to go back to that. And I will let him speak to that.
Thank you, Mrs. Hatter. Great question. There are a lot of questions on here about the Chromebooks. So let me begin by saying this. When we recognized that we needed to be prepared for any and all circumstances that might behold us, we certainly wanted to return to school in early August like we were planning to. But early in the summer, we knew that there was always the possibility. Of course, the goal of the Harrison County Public School District has been for some time to get to a point where we were what we call one-to-one, or one device for each student. And that's where we were already working towards. But as we recognized that this pandemic was creating some situations that we might have to be able to address in other ways this year, and we wanted to be able to meet the needs of the individual families, we knew immediately we would need significantly more devices than what we currently have on hand or in our schools already. Let me say this, we have over 1,100 Chromebook devices. Now, a Chromebook is simply a basic computer that with access to the internet, and uses a browser to access any instructional resource that is out there through the Google Chrome platform. So you don't necessarily have to have a Chromebook to do Google Classroom or to utilize the Google Drive or the other activities. You do have to have a device that can access the internet and has browser capabilities. And Google Classroom also doesn't require full-time or live connection to the internet. You can connect and access your resources, utilize them, go home and work on them, come back and reconnect again and upload and download your work. So just to try to make sure everybody understands that piece of it. So we have a little over 1,100 Chromebooks, mobile devices, that we can easily check out to students in-house. And our librarians have done an amazing job to go through all our schools and collect those, and typically they're utilized in the classrooms under our normal settings. But they have since taken those devices, cataloged them into their library automation software as a resource, just like a textbook or just like a library book, that then they can check out to a student or a family to use. So that work's been done. We've got over 1,100 in-house. We have an early shipment that we'd ordered earlier this spring that is in-house. That's a little over 100, 116 or 120 devices. And so we're getting up there close to 1,250 to 1,300. And then earlier this summer, the Board of Education authorized us to purchase. We purchased 500, then an additional 500. So 1,000 student Chromebooks, as well as some of the schools had made some investment. Mr. Harp at Southside had ordered 60 more, and I believe the high school had ordered a large quantity as well. And then we ordered some Chromebooks as well for our staff, so our teachers could have that device to utilize and work off of as well. We are in a global demand right now for those devices. And we check about every 2 weeks on Friday with our supplier what the status is of those Chromebooks. And currently, they are still on back order. The latest date they gave us was mid-September, so about the second week of September or so. We don't have an exact date, but when we check back again tomorrow or the next Friday, we'll get a different date. So they could get pushed back further. Again, it's a global pandemic, and the global supply and demand chain is affecting that. The good news is this, that utilizing those surveys and the outreach of our schools to each of you families, each person watching tonight, and every family in our school district, we have amassed a very detailed spreadsheet of what family or what child currently has a device in their house, be it a computer, a desktop, a laptop, an iPad. For some people, it's a gaming station because the Xbox gaming systems and the PS4 gaming systems actually have browsers built into them, and all you have to have is a keyboard and a mouse to make them like a functional computer. So we have a very detailed list of what students have and do not have. So we know that individual need, and we're going to focus the 1,100 plus, now closer to 1,250 or 1,300 machines that we currently have in-house today on all those folks that responded to your school that you did not have a device in your house. So certainly we're going to make sure that from an equity standpoint, everybody who needs a device now has one now. Now, as soon as the additional machines start arriving here, and just as quickly as we can turn them around and get them out, we'll circle back around and make sure that if you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe someone here had 7 children in their home, eventually our goal is to have 7 devices in that home. So now that's going to take some time. We need you to be patient with us, and we're going to help make that work just as quickly as possible. The other big issue is the internet connection. That is a problem across the United States. Our earlier data showed that we probably had around 30 or 35% of our population that didn't have a good, reliable internet connection. Some people would report that they had an internet connection. Maybe it was a phone connection, maybe it was a satellite connection, but it might not have been a connection that would allow them to do what we would call live back and forth distance learning. That's a reliable connection of a bandwidth that's able for them to actually utilize to stream video and do things like that. So for those of you that know, the governor announced, I believe on Wednesday, an initiative to help children in Kentucky and school districts, help them provide internet connections to students. We need more details on that. It was just announced at a press release, and we expect more information from them on that. So we have been working already to acquire hotspots and also partner with community partners. And there's several already that have been reaching out to us and said, hey, we've got Wi-Fi and we're going to open it up to the students of Harrison County so that they can pull up into our parking lot, connect their device, upload and download their information, and then travel back home and do their work remotely from their home. There's several entities out there that's going to do that. I don't want to go into that list now. That list will be shared with you, and it will be a ever-changing and growing list, because we're contacted daily with new folks, new businesses, new churches, individuals who want to help. They want to make sure, again, I spoke earlier about this being a community effort. This is a community effort, and we've got a lot of folks in the community that want to help. Yesterday we were on coffee break, and I was on there with Mr. Hoskins from Westside, Mr. Mcintyre, and Mr. Fowler, and we had actually someone call in and said, "Hey, I've got a couple of extra laptops that are in good shape. I've purchased new ones since then, and I'd like to donate that for maybe someone to use." So, you know, we are working with the public to make sure that we can provide all the needs of all of our students, and we're going to meet that challenge. Now, again, we need you to be patient, and I would encourage everyone to sign up for one of their school's orientation and training sessions. I'm going to go over that list with you. Again, we'll be starting virtually on September the 8th. It's our goal to try to be back in school by September the 8th with in-person classes. Maybe sooner, but it could be later. Let's talk about that orientation schedule. Mr. Mcintyre told you his. At Eastside Elementary, they will be doing orientations on September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. The times vary based upon the family input, so you will need to contact your school to get on their schedule. At Northside Elementary, they've been doing that this week, and that's done on an individual basis with your child's teacher. The teacher has been contacting the families, and they're able to come in small groups, certainly masked, social distanced, and utilizing, following all the guidelines from the Kentucky Department of Public Health and WEDCO. Southside Elementary, September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and their time slots are these: 8:30 to 10 a.m., 10:30 to 12, 1 to 2:30, 3 to 4:30, and 5 to 6:30. And you can sign up on any of those days, so you'll need to contact Southside to get on their schedule. Westside Elementary, August 31st, Monday, September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and that's going to be done by grade level. Now, his schedule looks a little bit different, Mr. Hoskins' does, but they've got a matrix with a schedule for each day that gives you the opportunity to do that. The middle school, Mr. Mcintyre already told you, that's September 1st for 8th grade, September 2nd for 7th grade, and September 3rd for 6th grade. Teachers are contacting student homes to reserve spots in the training sessions. Daily training choice times are 9 a.m., 10:30, 1 p.m., 2:30, 4, 5:30, and 7 p.m. And the high school will be conducting theirs August 31st through September the 2nd. All upperclassmen, 10th, 11th, and 12th grades will be August 31 through September the 2nd, and then September 3rd and 4th will be the 9th grade. The training option times are 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. So if you're going to have a student at Harrison County High School, contact the school and make sure that you get signed up for their orientation and training schedule on Google Classroom. We believe that once you go to one of these trainings, and we're going to videotape these trainings, so we'll have them up on our website, we'll have them on YouTube, we'll have them in a place where you can go back and watch those at a later time. We believe that after you participate, that both you and your child will feel very comfortable with the Google Classroom learning management system and what learning will look like as we start the 2020-21 school year in the Harrison County Public School District. Again, we will be following the guidelines out of the Kentucky Department of Public Health, the Kentucky Department of Education, the Kentucky High School Athletic Association, and certainly WEDCO, as WEDCO is who we have to go through for approval for all of our plans. Every plan we do is submitted to WEDCO for approval. So I want you to know that we're taking safety and security is paramount in everything we do. And our team, our folks have worked extremely hard to get to this point. Keep in mind, every day, the guidance and the direction, because you're seeing it on the national news, it changes almost daily. And sometimes some of it doesn't make sense to us. But we're not healthcare providers, we're not healthcare professionals, we're educators. And we're focused on the education side, and we have to trust the public health officials to tell us from a health, safety, and awareness standpoint what we're doing with that. We do have a district health coordinator. She's also our COVID coordinator for health, safety, and wellness, and that's Miss Rachel Wilson. And so everything we do, we work with her through, and then she coordinates and works with WEDCO and Dr. Crystal Miller at WEDCO to make sure that we're doing things the best way and the safest way for our students.
Thank you, Dr. Burchett. And again, I'm reminded that my Buena Vista friend, who's a Harrison County graduate and a Moorhead Eagle with many, many folks out there, Amber Philpott Hill, made that wreath back there, and I could not do your job, Amber. I am most certain I need to stick with curriculum. But no, we want you to know we are getting your questions in, and there's a lot of different people that make our school system and comprise it of what, it's a big machine, and it's a big machine to work for children. I see we've had a lot of questions and really good ones about centering really around two things: food service and attendance. How will attendance be measured in a virtual world, and how will food service run? I see Mr. Dacey has answered a lot of those things directly, and he very well might reach out to you if you're unclear, because that's just how he is. And I notice he has answered everyone that I can see in, and I'm a little bit delayed in watching. But, you know, it's not like we're a call center and we have 100 people here working on everything. But I see that we have a lot of eyes watching. I see that he has answered most of the food service questions. He will have, as changes and as we get closer, he has that posted. He also put out a clarification today, I saw in my own email, to all our schools, so they would be able to send out food service information and regarding meal deliveries and how that would look. And I see some of you answering questions that all field about the difference between my student is going virtually all year or I'm going to go until there's a vaccine and all those things. That's a highly individualized situation. So please know that when we're speaking tonight, we're speaking about all Harrison County students and in general, not every single student situation. So I know some students are doing a different plan based on their medical or home needs or their caregivers' needs. We're talking about the majority of students will start virtually on September the 8th, and then we will, we hope be, and we want to be face-to-face on September the 28th. I know most of you all know and understand on here that we are subject to state, local, and federal regulations. We have to look at the big picture, and there are some things we have wiggle room on, there are some things we have no wiggle room on, and those are of course things that are beyond our control, and we do what we have to do within the guidelines and what's best for our children. I also see some questions about attendance. In regards to attendance, Mr. Robert Schweitzer is our Director of Pupil Personnel. And attendance, he sent out a clarified, well, it's not really clarified, it's a new policy to all of us today. And if you think, gosh, what have you all been doing up there? And I say that in jest because I know most people don't feel that way, but there are some that do. And I want to be upfront in that we move as fast as we can given the constraints that we are subject to. So we want to do a good job for all kids. We cannot, sometimes if you have a question that's really specific, you'll want to ask that Harrison County questions box, or you'll want to call your school directly and talk with your principal, your child's teacher, because like in your doctor's office, we are bound by our ethical constraints. We don't want to talk about your specific student on any public format. So if you have a question about your student's specific situation, not just a general question, don't think we ignored you tonight. We can't answer that in front of everyone, and we don't want to get in that business. We want to protect your student and their right to a free and appropriate education always. In regards to attendance, there's a lot of layers there, just like there's a lot of layers to academics, there's a lot of layers to food service, there's a lot of layers to transportation. I don't want to keep saying we're going to send a video up, we're going to send a video up, but there are places where it is more complicated than just a live Q&A can answer. We've got a video regarding buses. We've got a video regarding K-CHIP. A lot of you are familiar with that program. Mr. Schweitzer, when attendance is clarified, it's generally clarified at the school level, because how you arrive for class and how that looks different for little people, and as they grow up in our school system, that is different in a virtual world. There are rules. It's not like we just say, well, everybody seems to be here because we're all on a computer. We do have rules about that. Again, I don't want to address that because that's not something that we all deal with every single day. I'll let Mr. Schweitzer and Myra Beth Reno-Muth, who works in his office, and Michelle Barnes, who is our homebound instructor. All of them are together as a team, and they can help you in regards to answering attendance questions. But your school is your first stop. It is your best place for information. And again, today, after our board meeting on Tuesday, we got our revised attendance policy based on some of the changes we made due to our governor's recommendation to all public schools. So when we got that, then we take it to our governing organization, our board, who's great about rolling with all those changes and doing the things that we need to do for the kids of Harrison County. So that's the blurb about attendance, because I do see some comments and questions about that. And I will, I'm not getting the text from our digital literacy coaches that there's any big themes besides the two of those. I will kind of wait a second and see if any of you all have any, if you can see, or if you have any questions. And again, I can't see you, but they assure me you all can see me. I want to apologize for that.
Mrs. Hatter,
Yes, sir.
let me address one
Yes.
thing on, there was a question about attendance, and she's right, we're not going to get into the specifics of it that Mr. Schweitzer will answer, but in general concept now, attendance is based on participation in the activities. And the question that came in online was about comparing us to other counties where students might have to be logged in at a specific time of day. Our setup is not designed that way, and the reason for that is because we have so many students that do live out farther, and they may or may not have access to a live internet connection. They may have to go to a public Wi-Fi place and log on. So we don't require students to be on. If they normally would be in class from 8:30 to 9:30, we don't require students to be online in class at that particular time. What we do say is that for each class that you have, you're going to have a Google Classroom set up, and you will have instructional videos, you will have instructional assignments, lessons, materials, icebreakers, reviews, all sorts of information that goes along with your daily lessons. And the student, the child, can do that really at any time that they choose to do that. But participation means that they participate in those activities. They do those assignments. And it could be that it's watching a video. It could be that you're logging into an outside resource like Edgenuity and doing drill and practice work. There could be numerous things that could occur, but participation simply means that you are participating in the online learning and you are communicating with your teacher about that learning. And if you have a question, you're reaching out to your teacher with that question so they can respond and help guide and help you grow in that learning process. But unlike some of the other districts, it's not live, what they would call synchronous learning. Ours is asynchronous, and which basically means that you have access to do it and you can do it on your time. Now, I would encourage all families and all students to get in a routine of working daily, working regularly. If my child were in school in this particular situation, I would have my child up and working at a regular time just as if they were in school. And there's an important reason for that, because keep in mind, we want to get back to in-person school as soon as possible. And so if you're off schedule and you're used to staying up half the night and sleeping half the morning, then you're not going to be ready if we come up and say next Monday we could start school. So it's important to get into a routine, stay up and current on your work daily on that work. Although you certainly, if you're going to be at Grandma's and Grandma's got a great internet connection and you're going to be there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you wanted to do all your work on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and turn it in by Monday morning at 7 a.m., you could certainly do that. And again, that's more designed around student, family, parent choice. And that's where we're trying to meet you halfway on this under this learning model. So a great question about that.
One of the things, and again, I really appreciate some of you are texting me like, I can see you fine, or I can see your foot, while Dr. Burchett's talking. I appreciate that, because we are a family, we are a small town. I think that's the strength of a small town, in that we've all got each other and we're all in this together. I do want to say this. I see some of our principals who are wonderful, keying in and saying, here's my email, here's my phone number, reach me anytime. If you know the first name of the person you're talking to at Harrison County Schools and the last name, you've got the key to every email address of every employee in the district, whether they are our wonderful lunch ladies, our maintenance workers, our bus drivers, you name it. Anybody you can reach, it's first name. In my case, my name is Jenny Lynn. You all know that, after the two aunts that taught here for 100 years. Dot, last name, Hatter, Jenny Lynn dot Hatter. We're all that. Donald dot Ritchie, Bill dot Blackburn. We're all first name dot last name. The @ symbol, Harrison, just think about what county you're in, .ky schools, we're a Kentucky school, .us in the United States. Now you have the key to not only every Harrison County email, but also every email of public employees, which is also very nice to do that are school people. Now, of course, government and all that follow differently, but there's a way where you can always quickly and easily get an email to us. It's first name dot last name, the @ symbol, and so forth. Harrison.kyschools.us. We're all on Harrison County Schools. People are always like, well, what's that website address? I always say, be lazy. Google it, search engine it, put Harrison County Schools, Kentucky, and you will pop up our school district, and there's a contact directory there. We're all in there. That's a quick way to get it. You can always pick up the phone. 234-7110 is our central office, and we generally all follow a 7-something tree number. That's another thing to stick in your head, and you can certainly get a hold of us in any form or fashion. Again, we're all learning together. We all want to make sure you understand that we're here for you. That's our job, and we want you to feel like that we'll learn together, and we won't always get it right or perfect, but we don't want you to be frustrated alone. We want you back. We want your kids back so badly, you all, and so we can all be healthy at Harrison County Public Schools. I am not seeing any other questions right now. I do want to say that also on here, and I want to thank her, she's always so wonderful about being available, is Whitney Faulkner Fowler. I always use every name because sometimes people know us by the names we were before we were married or whatever. And she's our pre-K director and our assistant special ed director. And I know we've had questions. I think she's fielded a lot of them, frankly, face-to-face and phone call to phone call on our pre-K students. We offered a lot. Our teachers, all our teachers, offered so many things. And like everybody else, we got better at what we had to do with students. And I think you will find that there's a lot of ways. If you're sitting there tonight and you're like, all I got's this little tiny phone, and I don't know how I'm going to get to those mobile hotspots. You probably heard us talk about there's mobile hotspots available all over the county, and there are. Our churches have been great. Our ministerial association, the Harrison County Public Library, Kinsey Greg Gauntz has been amazing. There are all kinds of places and venues that we can help you. Our Family Youth Services Centers are here for you. That's what they do, and that team is amazing. Paula Rainwater at the high school, Brad Allison at the middle school, Jolene Ferguson, who's new to the team, and Tara Custard at the elementary schools. All super duper. Kelsey Carr, Kelsey Fryman, gets in there and does our volunteer services. They all know this community, and they're such wonderful people that will help you. We don't want you to be troubled alone. We want to be able to help you work through that. But if you're sitting there going, I don't know how to make this work, reach out to us tomorrow and let us help you. And let us help you try to figure out how to make that happen. We can't do everything, but we can certainly make your child's learning experience a better one and yours a less frustrating one. So we really, really appreciate you. And again, I am not seeing any other questions. So if you have them, now's the time.
And a reminder, we do have an email box set up just for questions. It's called questions, questions, questions plural, at harrison.kyschools.us. And those come in and they get forwarded to Miss Hatter, Miss Kendall, and myself, and Mr. Schweitzer, and some others, and then you will get a response back from one of us. Or if it's school specific, we'll forward it on to the principal of the individual school that it's specific to. So that's another way, in addition to contacting them directly. One other place I saw last night on the news that Kentucky Farm Bureau,
Yes.
statewide, is opening up the Wi-Fi access at their locations, and of course they have a branch office probably in every county in the state, and they're opening that up for public Wi-Fi for students as well.
And we are going to put, I think, signs in the yards of some places that have offered their parking lots. And some places have offered, please understand, this is an amazing community. So many places have offered way more than just a parking lot. We are going to say, you can pull up to this parking lot. What you choose to take advantage of or not take advantage of, that is your personal decision and not involved with the school system, of course. But so many of our community churches, so many of areas where the bookmobile goes, if you're familiar with that program, in the Harrison County Cynthiana Public Library, have offered up their space. We've had a local computer business say, you can pull up in our area and do that, and Crazy Bites, for those of you that is down on Main Street as you go out to Northside. So lots and lots of wonderful opportunities. We're composing a list, so when we give you that, you'll actually, you won't go there and nobody will know what you're talking about. That would be our worst nightmare. I've also seen there is a couple of questions here this last minute on Beautiful Minds and our mental health services.
So before we go to that, we do plan on having a map with those locations pinned on the map of where you can go get on a public Wi-Fi hotspot. And keep in mind, we've also made significant investments in our infrastructure here. At each school, you'll be able to pull up in the parking lot outside the building, and we are hardwiring external antennas on the outside of the buildings to provide good quality internet Wi-Fi access in the parking lots. And there'll be a sign on the building too with a little Wi-Fi symbol that says, hey, here's where you need to pull up to and park to access this, along with the yard signs in those community partner businesses and churches and places as well. So we got a question about mental health and wellness supports. Let me talk about just all supports in general, first and foremost. Starting last March, we opened up a mental health and wellness hotline support program. It's manned and serviced by our in-house school psychologists, school counselors, and school social workers. And that's an amazing team. It's a mental health and wellness team that we have, and I'll be quite honest with you, we're probably in a position that is far better than many other school districts in the state of Kentucky. We have 3 school psychologists on staff in Harrison County Public Schools, and they do amazing work, along with all of our mental health and wellness team. We have community partnerships with the University of Kentucky's Adolescent Medicine Program. In our case, we have a program called Beautiful Minds, and they do assessments, and they also provide services to our students. We also have a partnership with Mountain Comp Care, which has an office downtown Cynthiana, and then also New Vista as well. So 3 external partnerships, and then of course our internal mental health and wellness team, and that hotline number will be reshared again with the public. Of course, if you need something directly right away, contact Donna Sims. That's donna.sims@harrison.kyschools.us, and she'll make sure that you get pointed in the right direction with that. In addition to that, our Board of Education, we went to them with the things we needed to make sure that families had the supports they needed to be successful under COVID, and that our teachers had the supports they needed. So we very quickly put in place a help desk program, and Richard Harris and Tommy Mullins and Leslie McCarty, and then of course Donald Ritchie works with them some as well. Richard Harris, Mr. Harris, is in the process of hiring. I believe we hired 1 or 2, one yesterday maybe, and another one for help desk, which will be a live manned help desk or person to help desk where you can actually call directly and get direct technical support for your child or your device, if it's one of our devices. And I'm sure they'll try to help anybody in general as well, of our children, of our students. In addition to that, of course, the digital literacy coaches, Ms. Hatter already mentioned tonight, those are all brand new supports. And of course, we already had our school technology coordinators who have been working very hard to make sure that they've lifted that heavy lift for our teachers and our schools to be ready to go under this virtual learning model that we're all under currently. Keep in mind, we know that there's some school districts that a very small amount of school districts that have tried to start back, and some of those we've already seen in the news. Some of those have already had to close. For example, Lexington Catholic, Greene County, both of those were early starters, and they've had some cases in their districts, and they've had to close back up. We are working with public health officials to make sure that we can return and get back to school just as quickly and safely as possible. And that's our goal. We want to see your child in our classroom. We want to see their smile. We want to see that light go off in their head when we're teaching an instructional concept, and we recognize that they get it, and their eyes light up. That's what we're here for. But in the meantime, we're going to support you in by whatever means is necessary. And if it's like the question that we had with regards to mental health and wellness, those supports are in place, and we can help you with that. If it's a technical support, we can help you with that. If it's an instructional support, your teachers will be helping you with that. And we're up to this task. We're ready for this challenge, and we're going to move forward to the best of our abilities. So we thank you for your patience. Please don't judge us on day one. Judge us in total, the total experience you have when we get through the first few weeks, and maybe when we get back to in-person school. And when you see the safety efforts that have been put in place all across, from the plexiglass dividers in certain places, the stripes in the hallways, the dots that ensure social distancing, the spacing of the desks in the classrooms, all of the efforts from the hand washing to the sanitation, all of the efforts that our custodians have been trained by Mr. Schweitzer and his crew on how to properly sanitize, and all the efforts that have went on in Harrison County Public Schools to make sure we can get back to in-person school safely. We'll be ready to go when we can do that, and we thank you for trusting your children with us.
And thank you, Dr. Burchett. I do see some very detailed questions about our Google classrooms and how they work, and it is kind of exciting. If you've gotten in your head that your child has to be internet connected the whole time, they do not. And if you'll look at the comments, because we will post this video, backup so you can use it, find what you need at the different segments. So if you'll look at the last section of segment comments, the last 5 minutes, I believe, you will see that we have answered a lot of questions regarding that. And you basically have to get somewhere, you have the lessons downloaded. If you're in one of our parking lots, the lessons will download and upload, including the students' homework. Kind of cuts out the old dog ate my homework excuse. So again, I think you'll find those most helpful if you look at them. We appreciate you. If you have any questions for our team, I'll keep it open a second or two. And then by all means, you can make comments after we repost the video from being, it just won't be live. We appreciate you, and we cannot wait, as Dr. Burchett said, to see your children. And we all are looking forward to being healthy at Harrison County Public Schools. We appreciate you, and have a wonderful evening.